All right, let's dive into one of Freemasonry's most dramatic and honestly fascinating degrees, the Knight of the East. It's a story that starts with people in chains, and it all revolves around a fundamental question. How can one person be both a peaceful builder and a fierce warrior at the exact same time? Let's unpack that paradox.
And this quote right here, it just nails it. It gets straight to the heart of the whole thing. It captures that essential conflict, that tension at the core of this degree. A Knight of the East can't just be one or the other. They have to be ready to embody two forces that seem like they should be complete opposites.
And this leads us to the central symbol of the entire degree, this image of a person holding a builder's trowel in one hand and a warrior's sword in the other. I mean, think about it. One tool is for creating, for constructing. The other is for defending, for conflict. How in the world can those two roles exist in the same person?
So here's that duality, broken down. The trowel unites, right? It binds stones together, it builds something new. But the sword divides and protects. It channels the spirit of the warrior, maybe even the Knight Templar. So the key to understanding how these two identities can actually merge, well, it's all hidden inside the incredible legend behind this degree.
The story that explains this whole paradox isn't just some little tale. It's a sweeping epic. It kicks off with an entire people held captive and ends with a huge mission to rebuild their most sacred temple. And you know what? It all gets started because of a single prophetic dream. So this story plays out over 70 years. It starts with a real tragedy, the destruction of the first temple and the people being taken captive to Babylon. Decades go by, and then the Persian king Cyrus has this powerful dream that tells him he has to free the captives. A prince among them, a man named Zerubbabel, bravely steps up, makes the request, gets put to the test, and he actually succeeds. He gets to lead his people home, to rebuild everything from the ashes.
But here's where it gets really interesting. It's Zerubbabel's answer to the king. See, Cyrus basically demands Masonic secrets in return for their freedom, and Zerubbabel refuses. He tells this absolute monarch that secrets can only be shared where equality reigns. Can you imagine the guts that took? He's making this unbelievably bold statement, basically choosing his integrity over his own freedom.
And you know what? It works. Cyrus is so impressed by this loyalty that he frees Zerubbabel and his people. But their journey home is way more than just a physical trip. It's a deeply symbolic journey, a classic rite of passage, and it is going to be filled with trials.
So, what do we mean by a rite of passage? It's any kind of ritual or major event that marks a person's transition from one state of being to a completely new one. It's all about profound change, and Zerubbabel's quest to lead his people home is a perfect example of this.
And you can see this journey follows three classic phases. First, there's separation. They have to leave the only world they've known, Babylon. Second, the ordeal. This is the hard part. They face a huge battle on a bridge, literally caught between the past they're leaving and the future they're fighting for. And finally, there's integration. They make it, arriving in Jerusalem victorious and ready to start a completely new life.
Now, during this ordeal, a really crucial transformation happens. All the superficial stuff gets stripped away. The luxurious clothes, the worldly honors that King Cyrus gave him, they're all torn away in the fight. But what does he save? What's the one thing he holds on to? His sword. And this is so symbolic. It tells us that while all that external status can vanish in a second, your inner strength, your will, your ability to defend what matters, that is what endures.
Okay, this brings us to the deeper, more esoteric layers of the degree. The ritual itself unfolds across two really symbolic rooms, or chambers, and together they reveal a kind of alchemical process of inner transformation.
So the journey moves from the Green Chamber, which represents the worldly political court of King Cyrus back in Babylon, to the Red Chamber, which represents the sacred but ruined temple in Jerusalem. And symbolically, the Green Chamber is tied to the element of water, and the Red Chamber is tied to fire.
Now, this isn't just about interior design. It's a powerful alchemical metaphor. This journey from green to red symbolizes fusing two opposing elements, water and fire, the worldly and the spiritual. In alchemy, that exact process is what was believed to create the philosopher's gold. Not literal gold, but a symbol for total enlightenment. The idea is that the knight has to integrate both of these worlds inside himself to achieve that higher, perfected state of being.
So all of this is building toward the final secrets of the degree, and they're hidden pretty ingeniously inside three simple initials that the knight comes across on his journey.
At the bridge, the very spot of his greatest trial, the knight finds these letters inscribed, LDP. So what do they mean? Well, the answer isn't simple. It unfolds in layers, and each layer reveals a more profound part of the degree's philosophy.
All right, let's break it down. The first meaning is personal, liberté de passer, or freedom to pass. It just means the knight has earned the right to cross the bridge and finish his journey. The second meaning is philosophical, liberté de penser, freedom of thought, a really radical call for liberty of conscience. And the third meaning, well, it's shockingly political, lilia dastru pedibus, which is a coded message to destroy the lilies by treading on them. The lily was the symbol of the French monarchy, so this was a secret call to overthrow tyranny.
So in the end, the Knight of the East is so much more than a historical story. It's a timeless allegory for transformation. It teaches that to truly rebuild anything valuable, you need both the trowel to construct and the sword to defend your freedom to do it. And that leaves us with one last really big question. What temples in our own lives or in our world are lying in ruins right now, just waiting for us to pick up our tools and begin?